Donald Keough collected $3.5 million for destroying Coca-Cola. Roberto Goizueta pocketed $6.4 million. The executives who oversaw the biggest product failure in corporate history didn't get fired. They got bonuses worth $15 million in today's money. Right now, business schools teach New Coke as history's greatest marketing blunder. But they're missing something that changes everything about what really happened in 1985. Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Chronicles. I'm Percival Blackwood. Let me show you an impossible timeline. April 23rd, 1985, Coca-Cola announces they're changing their 99-year-old formula. Day 79, they bring it back. Day 180, they're growing at twice Pepsi's rate. 1 year later, stock up 41%. Market dominance secured forever. When Ford's Edsel failed, it stayed dead. When Netflix launched Quickster, they lost 800,000 subscribers and took years to recover. When McDonald's Arch Deluxe flopped, 200 million vanished forever. But when Coca-Cola failed, they emerged stronger than ever. The Pepsi challenge that had terrorized them for a decade, dead overnight. 15 years of market share decline, reversed. Something doesn't add up. To understand what really happened, we need to go back to 1983. Coca-Cola is dying. Market share has collapsed from 60% post-war to 24%. They're losing a full percentage point annually, while Pepsi gains 1.5. In supermarkets, where consumers actually choose, Pepsi is winning. The Pepsi challenge has been humiliating them for 8 years. Blind taste tests showing 53% prefer Pepsi. Michael Jackson just signed with Pepsi for $5 million. They call themselves the choice of a new generation, while Coke looks like a relic. Roberto Goizueta becomes CEO. Cuban refugee who fled with $40 and 100 shares of Coca-Cola stock. His philosophy: no sacred cows. Everything is negotiable, even the formula. Project Kansas launches, $4 million, 200,000 taste tests. They develop a sweeter formula that beats both original Coke and Pepsi. The data is overwhelming. But here's the first red flag. Researcher Roy Stout makes a strange decision. He keeps the replacement aspect ambiguous in testing. Test subjects think new Coke will exist alongside the original, not replace it. You spend $4 million on research and don't tell people the most important detail. Even stranger, when 10 to 12% of focus groups react with anger and alienation, saying they'd rather drink nothing than accept change. Executives document this carefully, then file it under statistical outliers. They know exactly what's coming. April 23rd, 1985, Lincoln Center. Goizueta calls it the most significant development since Coca-Cola's formulation. Bottlers give a standing ovation. Some actually threaten to sue if Coca-Cola doesn't release the new formula. Initial sales jump 8%, then America melts down. The hotline that gets 400 calls daily suddenly gets 8,000. 40,000 letters pour in. One addressed to Chief Dodo, the Coca-Cola Company, reaches Goizueta's desk. Gay Mullins spends his entire $100,000 retirement founding Old Cola Drinkers of America. Protesters pour new Coke into sewers on live TV. Bill Cosby quits his endorsement deal. A psychiatrist monitoring calls reports people sound like they're discussing the death of a family member. One letter: God and Coca-Cola were the only two things in my life. Now you have taken one away. This is exactly what that 10 to 12% predicted. Exactly what the research warned would happen. But while Atlanta burns with consumer rage, something extraordinary is happening in Monte Carlo. Day 11. 11 days after launch, marketing chief Sergio Zyman isn't at headquarters managing the crisis. He's in Monaco with his entire team, working on something called, and I'm quoting internal documents, a reversal campaign. The product is still selling well. The advertising campaign just started. They've spent $10 million. And the marketing chief is in a luxury hotel planning its funeral. on day 11? Either Sergio Zyman is psychic, or he knew exactly what was going to happen. Now watch what happens next. In 79 days, Coca-Cola reverses the entire supply chain of a global corporation. Hundreds of bottling plants, thousands of workers, dual inventory systems, international coordination with bottlers who are refusing to even sell new Coke. This should take years of planning. They do it in 79 days. The only way that's possible is if the infrastructure was already in place. July 11th, 1985. Peter Jennings interrupts General Hospital to announce Coke's return. Senator David Pryor calls it a meaningful moment in US history on the Senate floor. The company receives 31,600 grateful calls in 48 hours, and every executive gets their bonus, millions for failure. The financial results are staggering, 34 million in losses, but over 100 million in free publicity. Stock rises 41% that year, another 38% the next. Revenue jumps 19%. Market share reverses 15 years of decline. The Pepsi challenge vanishes overnight. Why? Because the battle is no longer about taste, it's about identity. And Coca-Cola just proved they own American identity. The timing was surgical. 79 days, long enough for original Coke to vanish, creating panic. Short enough that people hadn't adjusted. The psychological sweet spot where absence makes the heart desperate. Sergio Zyman later admits, new Coke revitalized the brand and reattached the public to Coke. Not despite the failure. He said it revitalized the brand. Present tense. Like that was the goal. But how could they have known this would work? How could they be sure? Because they'd done it before. In 1993, Zyman admits to creating Tab Clear as a kamikaze product designed to kill Pepsi's Crystal Pepsi. His exact words, "We killed it." Both of them were dead within 6 months. This is documented proof that Coca-Cola creates products designed to fail for strategic purposes. They have a playbook for weaponizing failure. Suddenly, everything makes sense. The research that forgot to mention replacement. The warnings they ignored. Zyman in Monte Carlo on day 11. The impossible 79-day reversal. The bonuses for failure. Donald Keough's famous line, "We're not that dumb and we're not that smart," isn't humility. It's exactly what you'd say if you were that smart. Memorable. Quotable. Perfect corporate contrition. During those 79 days, while America obsessed over cola, Coca-Cola quietly completed their transition to high-fructose corn syrup. The crisis provided perfect cover for any taste difference when Classic returned. International bottlers in Monaco refused to sell new Coke entirely. These weren't emotional Americans. These were businessmen who smelled something wrong. 40 years later, not one whistleblower has emerged. In the era of WikiLeaks, the biggest corporate conspiracy in history remains sealed. Those multi-million-dollar bonuses bought more than silence. They bought commitment to the narrative. Here's what I think happened. Coca-Cola couldn't win on taste. Pepsi proved that. Couldn't win on youth. Michael Jackson chose Pepsi. But they could win on emotion. So they created a controlled demolition. Let Americans feel loss, express rage, then position themselves as the corporation that listened. They triggered what psychologists call the endowment effect, making people value something by threatening to take it away. They turned customers into soldiers, brand preference into identity, a beverage choice into a cultural victory. They didn't fail. They pretended to fail. The alternative? That brilliant marketers with $4 million in research forgot to ask the obvious question. That Zyman just happened to be planning reversal on day 11. That the impossible logistics just worked out. That bonuses for failure make sense. Every Coca-Cola Classic, that name exists only because of this failure, is participation in the most successful corporate psychological operation in history. They conducted the largest psychological experiment ever attempted and convinced everyone it was an accident. They played 4D chess while everyone thought they were playing checkers. The next time you crack open a Coke, You're drinking the result of the most brilliant manipulation in corporate history. A product that won by losing. A brand that succeeded by failing. This has been the Rabbit Hole Chronicles, where the biggest conspiracies hide in plain sight. They didn't fool you once, they're still fooling you. Every single sip. Enjoy your Coke.